Okay, for the second example, we're just going to take this just a little bit farther here. We're going to actually look at how to extract email addresses from a binary file within Python. For this, we're going to use the regular expression library, which I've kind of talked about during the lecture already. But just want to kind of show you what we're going to do. We're going to import that regular expression library. I'm also going to import the sys library, and I'll show you why in a second. Within Python 2 and 3, there are a couple of differences that we have to accommodate if we're going to be able to support scripts that support both versions. And one of those is in the way that binary files are read within Python is different in Python 2 and Python 3. So we're going to accommodate that by making sure that we know what version we're doing. So I'm using the sys method here to say version info. If it's less than 3, then we've got Python 2. Otherwise, we've got Python 3. So I'm going to set my chunk size just like we did before, but now I'm going to actually create a regular expression. So the regular expression is going to get compiled into a variable or an object called, in this case, epat. In other words, email pattern. Remember, regular expressions are all about defining patterns in order to be able to identify information within binary or text files that match a specific pattern. So in this particular case, the pattern is going to be to recognize an email. So in this particular case, these are the valid characters that are there at the beginning of an email. A through Z, 0 through 9, underscore, dot, etc. Then there's the @ sign, followed by, again, a bunch of letters, numbers, etc. And then finally 2 to 4 characters at the end that are A through Z, 0 through 9. So we know that we can have .com, .au, so on and so forth at the end. So think about how an email is constructed. So that's what the representation is, and we've compiled that into a pattern. And now we can use the pattern to evaluate each of the chunks of data that we're going to read in from the system. So what I've done is I've created an email list variable here that's a list. So I just created an empty list to start with. Just like we did in the other one, I'm going to open a test file. In this case, I gave you this file called test.bin that has a couple of email addresses embedded in it for you. So you can play around with this. I'm going to read that again as binary file. I'm going to read in the chunk just like we did with the simple example. But now I'm going to actually evaluate the chunk to see if it contains an email address. So in this case, I'm saying emails equal ePattern, the actual email pattern. And I'm going to say find all of the occurrences of that pattern within this chunk. Okay? So that's going to give me all of those. And then for each one of those that we found, that's going to do them all. So I just had one line of code to basically give me a list of all of those emails, all those strings that match the pattern of the email pattern that we've defined. Okay? And then for each of those emails in the pattern, I'm going to add it to that email list. So we're going to go through all of the contents of the file, picking up all of the potential emails. When I'm done, I'm not reading any more chunks because we've read them all. I'm going to break out, and then I'm going to print out a little message here that says possible emails. And then for each of the emails in the email list, remember I put all of those in the email list. I appended all of the results that we got back from the original, any of the searches or the pattern matches that we did. I put them in the email list. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loop through that email list, and for each one I'm going to print out the possibles. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and run it. I'm just going to say start and go, and let's see what we get. And we got some results, possible emails. These are the ones that were found. Now you notice that a couple of these look weird. I did this on purpose in order to show you that we're only matching patterns. We're not verifying that the email is legitimate. We're just simply matching patterns. So you notice this one says chat@python.org.u. Well, that's because in the case of the last part of the definition of the compile of the email type, I said it could be anywhere from 2 to 4 characters. And it just turns out that in this particular example where I embedded this within the file, chat@python.org had a U at the end of it. So because it was still between 2 and 4 characters, it picked it up and said, oh, this looks like a valid email. So depending on how you specify your pattern is going to give you either a wider hit or a narrower hit of what you're looking for. So the development of the patterns in order to match the contents that you're looking for is really important. So that's all that actually does. It basically finds any of those strings that are embedded in that file that match the pattern that I've specified. So one of the things with regular expressions that you're going to learn is if you've got a really great and tight regular expression that you define, you get really, really good quality results. If you have a regular expression maybe that isn't so good, you're going to get maybe misinformation. Either you're going to miss some that were email addresses, or you're going to find things that really weren't email addresses in this particular case. So you have to kind of be careful. So the old saying is that if I have a challenge problem and I decide to solve it with a regular expression, now I have two problems, because I still have the original challenge to find what I'm looking for when the search. The second problem I have to solve is to be able to produce a really perfect regular expression in order to perform that pattern match. So just keep that in mind. It's not a magic bullet. It gives us a way to actually quickly search and pull out information, but depending upon the quality of the regular expression that you're using, your results in fact may vary. So hopefully that gives you an idea. And again, as before, I'm providing these scripts in the same test data that I'm using so that you can step through these scripts and get a feel for how they work. So don't just take my word for it in the demo that I'm giving you. Open that up within Wing IDE and repeat the process that I just did and step through this code to make sure that you get a feel for how this actually works. And manipulate it, change it a little bit. You could go in and change that regular expression a little bit. If you wanted to only allow it to be, for example, 2 to 3 characters, you could do that in order to be able to get that result. So try that out. So that'll give you another example to play with this week before you dive into your weekly assignments. So again, have a great week.